Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the April 4th meeting of the Brentwood Board of Aldermen. If you'd all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Plufka.
Here.
Alderman Slusser.
Here.
Alderman Lockmiller.
Here.
Alderman Kramer.
Present.
Alderman Toohey.
Here.
Alderman Leahy.
Here.
Alderwoman Manister.
Here.
Alderwoman Saunders.
Here.
Okay, item number 3 on the agenda, approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting. Are there any amendments or changes to the agenda? Alderman Toohey.
Postpone bill number 6054 as the applicant has requested that they submit the rezoning along with the site plan, so to allow them time to do that.
Second. It's been moved and seconded that we postpone action on bill number 6054 at the applicant's request so that he can submit the site plan and the zoning request at the same time. Is there any discussion? So I guess that's a motion to remove it from tonight's agenda and
Yeah, postpone it
till the 18th.
That'd be fine.
Okay. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Kramer.
Yes.
Alderman Leahy.
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller.
Yes.
Alderwoman Manister.
Yes.
Alderman Plufka.
Yes.
Alderwoman Saunders.
Yes.
Alderman Slusser.
Yes.
Alderman Toohey.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any further amendments or changes to tonight's agenda?
Mayor Thornton, I have
Yeah.
one.
Okay.
I would like to add the MSD presentation at this time as the third presentation on the agenda,
Okay.
if I may.
For those of you, some folks from MSD are here to make presentation if the board would allow on the Project Clear that's getting underway. They have a short presentation for us, and if the board is amenable, we'd like to add that at 5D. So the chair would entertain an appropriate motion.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to add item 5D, the presentation by MSD. Is there any discussion?
I just want to note that that was the fourth presentation, not the third presentation for the evening.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. We add item 5D, MSD. Any further changes to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve tonight's agenda as amended. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. We have an agenda. Item number 4 on the agenda, consideration and approval of the minutes of the Board of Aldermen meeting on March 28, 2016. Are there any changes or amendments to the minutes as submitted? Okay, seeing none, by acclamation, the minutes will be approved. Item number 5A, proclamation. Alderman Kramer, will you kindly read the Arbor Day proclamation?
Certainly. From the state of Missouri, the city of Brentwood proclamation reads as follows in recognition of the Arbor Day celebration. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. Whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of the business areas of our city, and beautify our community. Whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Whereas the city of Brentwood has been recognized as a Tree City USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation and desires to continue its tree planting practices. Now therefore, I, Mayor Christopher Thornton, do hereby proclaim April 29th, 2016 as Arbor Day in the city of Brentwood, and urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands, and further urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Signed, Christopher A. Thornton, Mayor.
All right, so for those of you not aware, April 29th is Arbor Day, and get out there and plant a tree. We have another proclamation this evening. This is the proclamation in recognition of Youth Art Month. Whereas the Youth Art Month program is a proven, effective art advocacy plan and is an opportunity to explain that art is not a frill but an essential for the full development of all children. And whereas Youth Art Month is an opportunity for teachers to exhibit creative, appealing, and interesting artwork to their students. And whereas the dedicated art teachers of Brentwood Schools, Tim Rempel of Brentwood Middle and High Schools, Maggie McCart of Brentwood Middle School, Gabby Asher Gabby Asher of McGrath Elementary, Jamie Davis of Mark Twain Elementary, and Audrey Corby of St. Mary Magdalene not only celebrate Youth Art Month in May, but advocate art creativity all school year. And whereas these teachers initiated and have maintained an art gallery at Brentwood City Hall since the fall of 1993, and the pictures displayed have brought pleasure to many. And whereas it is fitting for the city of Brentwood to recognize the interests of art teachers in the Brentwood schools and to recognize the artistic ability of the Brentwood students, now therefore I, Mayor Christopher Thornton, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2016 as Youth Art Month in the city of Brentwood, and do hereby urge all citizens to support and foster creativity in our youth. For those of you who haven't seen them, the pictures are out in the halls, and they're just wonderful. And on behalf of the Brentwood School District is Dr. Cindy Noy, who's the principal of Mark Twain Elementary School and my children's principal, and she's here to accept the proclamations. Okay, and if you haven't had a chance, go look at the pictures. They're really great. You won't believe that they were done by young kids. Item 5C, pre-audit presentation. We have our representatives from Showalter and Jabouri here.
Good evening. My name is Karen Link. I am an audit director with Showalter and Jabouri. With me this evening is Jim Tordy. We prepared a brief presentation for you this evening. Professional standards require specific communication to be made with those charged with governance at the beginning and end of an audit. We sent a letter to each member of the board dated April 1st, 2016 that covers the required communication at the beginning of the audit. We appreciate the opportunity to meet with you in person to have a live discussion. And the intent is to provide for effective two-way communication between the auditors and those charged with governance, which is the Board of Aldermen. Regarding our timeline, we performed our accounting services and interim audit work the weeks of March 21st through April 1st. We are pleased to report that we received full cooperation and all requested information was provided in a timely fashion. Final field work is scheduled to begin the week of April 11th. We have scheduled 3 weeks for field work, which includes preparation of the comprehensive annual financial report. When we are done with field work, we will leave a draft report and related supporting documentation for management's review. And we will meet again with the Ways and Means Committee and the entire Board of Aldermen to discuss our results and the required communication at the conclusion of the audit. Regarding the audit process, our responsibility as described by professional standards is to express opinions about whether your financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects. In order to do that, we obtain an understanding of your organization by reviewing policies, procedures, internal controls. We conduct walkthroughs of significant processes and conduct inquiries with selected members of management and staff. And once we have all that information, we brainstorm with our engagement team and build a plan. And so then during our final field work is when we execute our plan. And in addition to the audit of your financial statements, a single audit will be performed this year because based on preliminary amounts, the city spent more than $750,000 in federal awards. And the major program that will be audited this year is the Highway Planning Construction Grant. And at this time, we'd be happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
Okay. Does anyone from the board have a question for Ms. Link or Mr. Tabori? I'm Tori. Sorry, I knew I wasn't pronouncing it correctly. Any questions from the board? Okay, seeing that, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, and now Mr. Nichols from MSD is here, and I understand he has some information for the board.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, board, staff. Thank you. Yes, my name is Dan Nichols. I'm actually from MSD, and I'm here to talk briefly about the DC02 and DC3 project. Would you like me to turn this so that the board can see it, or is it better that the audience?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much. The red line represents, I'll come over here. The red line represents the
No, you can't.
the new construction. Okay. All right, there we go.
Well, now they won't be able to see me.
Thank you.
It's a joke.
We're waiting for that state-of-the-art equipment.
The red line represents the new construction, and you see basically the terminus here is going to be at this building. This building has been purchased by MSD and will be soon demolished. This green line, a little hard to see here, but this is an existing sewer, horseshoe sewer that we're tying into. So this is the bottom end of the project. This project will probably go on about 7 years. It goes all the way up and terminates in the high school.
Horton Watkins.
Excuse me. So this is the bottom end. We have one little small interceptor here coming off, but basically is essentially extends from the east side of Mary Avenue over to Russell Avenue, crosses Brentwood, down Russell, and terminates near the ball fields. I should have told you, I guess, that the bottom end of this, the very lower end, to this part here is 78-inch diameter, so it's a very large diameter sewer. 72-inch from here on. The side sewer here is 54-inch. And this is the termination. This will continue to go on in phase 2. We're not sure if we're going to have 3 phases or 4 phases. We're still deciding on that on the upper end, but this is a very large project, as you can see. The contract was bid and awarded. It was bids were opened in February, or actually January, and it was awarded to J.H. Barra. The value of that contract is just under $21 million. So it's a very large project. I'm just here to kind of get you an idea that we're going to soon start tearing up your community. The contractor, I believe, will probably get started in about a month. I should have introduced Kevin Nelson with the tie, Gary Vandeloo. Gary's our field engineer. Kevin is the project manager for our consultant. That's all I really have to say. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Alderman Leahy.
Thank you. Dan, the explosives that we're going to be using along the Russell Avenue area, what is the contractor's requirement for pre-home inspections before they start doing this? And how far out are we going to stretch?
Well, right now, the contractors indicated that they're not going to use explosives.
So they're going to chip the whole thing?
That's what they're proposing.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
He may change his mind, but that's what he said.
Should have gone to board.
Okay.
Thank
you very much. Okay. Okay, item number 7 on the agenda, bids. I don't believe we have any bids this evening.
We do
Excuse
not.
me, Your Honor.
Oh, we do.
We
Yep.
skipped section 6.
Oh, my fault. We don't have any items for public hearing, but you're right, we did skip 6. I apologize. Item number 7, we do have a bid according to City Administrator Condon.
No, we do not.
Oh, you said you do not.
We do
Okay.
not.
I'm more on top of it than I am. Item number 8 on the agenda, hearing of public interest, any public matter of a public interest upon the request of any person present. I see Ms. Charbonneau already working her way up here. So, but all are invited, not just Ms. Charbonneau.
Now, Mr. Mayor, I came last week with invisible tape on my mouth. I did not speak. I prepared for tonight, and then you withdrew the item that I wish to address from the menu. But since I tried to keep it to the zoning change as opposed to the actual project, I may have more to say next time. Different things. Maybe. Today is most Mondays when Louise Charbonneau, Madge Avenue. Today is most Mondays when a Board of Aldermen meeting is scheduled. I devoted my time to studying the issues that came to the board tonight. The most important issue to me was rezoning of Manchester and Hanley Road plot from PD to UD. So I took a little walk. I spent time researching on the computer and braved wading into the 2005 comprehensive plan. The little walk was from the proposed Metro on Manchester development all the way to the Metrolink station, and that is a wasteland. Traffic runs pretty close and pretty fast when you're crossing the bridge over the creek. And of course, an out-of-control driver leaves you no option but to go over the side if your reaction time is that good. There's no pedestrian crossing prompts at the intersection, but that's easily fixed. On the Maplewood side, there's no sidewalk, only a worn footpath. I read recently that MoDOT plans to finish its improvements on the Maplewood side from Bradell all the way to Hanley. It's just letting those contracts. So there may be a sidewalk in the near future, or the not so near. Now, the only Metro-friendly aspect to the developer's concept is the project name, Metro. My computer searches were the Sun and Station proposal for the Sun and property south of Manchester along Laclede Station Road, 232-unit proposal with a Sun and Metro station practically on site. Additionally, the Boland Place project for Richmond Heights is 203 units. So we're facing a potential competition, 435 units from 2 other places. The drawings for both developments are beautiful. Is our area now approaching saturation for the rent by choice demographic? Last week, I searched through the current, though out-of-date comprehensive plan. It's a lovely fairy tale. Let me share a section from page 62 on providing public art. A public art program should be established to further enhance the aesthetic amenities of the city. A public art program could be tied to the city's capital improvement program or through a 1% for art program. Public art spaces could be provided in the city center, parks, city gateways, which Manchester and Hanley is, and in collaboration with commercial developers. Now, whoever wrote this, I can't get a half a fence from a commercial developer, let alone some public art, but okay. So let's paint a mural on the fence, and call it public art. Let's plant a couple trees and a couple of bushes. Mr. Hassenflug can't use that 30 easternmost footage anyway. So there are other alternatives. I do not believe that the density that he is being forced into with his project by the loss of that 30 feet or how much, he may even be dropping below the 2 acres that is required to get the UD. And that would be a legal point that maybe Mr. Pluff could help me research with regard to whether it means usable space or actual space. So thank you for listening. I'll see you all tomorrow.
Thank you. Would any other member of the public care to come forward and address the board? Okay, seeing none. Item number 9 on the agenda, unfinished business.
Can I respond to that?
Oh, I'm sorry, aldermanic response. All right.
I too was under the impression tonight was just going to be the rezoning. And in case, I guess, in the future, if that happens, according to section 400.1060, item F, when an application for site plan approval is filed in conjunction with an application for zoning, the commission shall submit the conclusions of its review of the site plan, either approval disapproval, or conditional approval in accordance with this section, together with its recommendation to the Board of Aldermen for its action on the rezoning. So it does appear, according to the code, that since they filed them together, they have to come to us together. So I just wanted to note that because at the last meeting, we were told that we could do the rezoning first without the site plan approval, but that does not agree with what's in the code.
Okay, thank you. Any further aldermanic response? Seeing none. Item number 9, I don't believe we have any unfinished business this evening. Alderman Leahy.
You announced last week that former Mayor Kelly, the Municipal League, would be doing a presentation this evening.
On the 18th.
On the 18th. Thank you. I had the wrong date down. I apologize.
No problem. Okay. Item number 10, we don't have any bills to be given a first reading this evening. Item number 11, bills to be given a second reading, and item 11A is off of the agenda, so item 11B, an ordinance 6059. Mr. City Attorney, second reading by title only, please.
Bill number 6059, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance amending section 225.040 and section 600.040 of the Brentwood City Code relating to glass containers and alcoholic beverages in city parks and recreational facilities.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Kramer, can we have a synopsis, please?
Yes, Your Honor. A little similar to the title, some more explanation for Bill 6059, our second reading. The amendment to sections 225.040 and 600.040 the Brentwood Municipal Code relating to the glass containers and alcoholic beverages portion of our city parks and recreation facilities program. No person is allowed to bring intoxicating liquors, including all beer, wines, or liquors, into any public park, city park, public recreational facility, city-owned recreational facility, public parking lot, upon any private property, without the permission of the owner or occupant of such property, or to any place open to the public without the prior approval of the Board of Aldermen of the City of Brentwood. Adoption of this ordinance removes the restriction for both Brentwood Park and Memorial Park and the Brentwood Recreational Complex, and grants that authority instead to the Director of the Parks and Recreation Department and or his designee. The Public Works Committee has made recommended approval and unanimous selection of the language contained in Bill number 6059.
All right, thank you. Chair would entertain a motion.
Move to perfect Bill something.
6059.
6059 into ordinance form.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the board perfect Bill number 6059 into ordinance form. It's now time for discussion. Alderman Saunders.
On page 3 of 4 of the bill, in that first paragraph that's indented, it says, I guess like the third line, let's see, owner or occupant of such property or in any place open to the public other than an establishment specifically licensed to sell beer or intoxicating liquors or a city or public park or city recreational facility. We didn't specify, I heard you mention that at the last, Mayor Thornton, at the last meeting, we did not specify in the ordinance Memorial Park and Russell Park. So is there like Oak Tree considered a park and Broughton Park? Do we need to specify that in the ordinance? And then the only other concern I have is I understand that the 23.5 is so that bottles of wine are permitted, but then do people bring glasses? Like I like to drink my wine in a glass. I don't really prefer plastic bottles. Did we think about that? I just want to make sure that we're safe. You know, we've discussed this before, and I was fine if we left the discretion up instead of having the board always vote on whether we give permission, but letting that discretion go to the city administrator and or superintendent of parks and recs on a case-by-case basis. So like wine perhaps for those music events that we have, but maybe not all the time, might not be a great idea safety-wise with the bottles, and then if there's glasses. It's just something to consider. But is the verbiage right in that section? Do we need to specify which parks?
I mean, the verbiage that's in the bill is actually what's in the bill. I don't know if we need to specify. I'm not sure what, I understand what you're asking. I'm sorry.
I think it's permitting liquor up to the 23.5 allotment to any city or public park or city recreational. So there's other parks other than Memorial and Russell. There's Broughton Park, there's Oak Tree Park, smaller parks. There could be a pocket park.
I can try and answer that if you would like.
Yeah, sure, please.
So the two parks that where we tend to have these kind of events where liquor and beer typically are served are those two parks, Memorial and Brentwood Park. We don't have any program that takes place in Oak Tree Park or Broughton Park or McKnight Park. That's why they're not included in the ordinance.
So,
The ordinance,
if I understand you correctly, Bola, then is the intent of the ordinance to give the discretion to the Director of Parks and Recreation, but he has no intention of allowing
In any
liquor
other
in
parks.
any park that doesn't have
then-
programs?
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Okay, and so that, maybe I'm reading it out of context. So that section just doesn't give permission for alcohol to be,
In
it's still.
all the other parks. It's just the ones
Okay.
that are specifically mentioned.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Leahy.
I'd like to expand this bill a little bit if I may. It is my understanding that the two properties on the north side of Russell Avenue are not in the park program. They are actually just city properties, but not actually been incorporated into any of our parks. And we do use both of the vacant properties as overflow for the parking for the ball players, and at times our after-game celebrations are in those two lots. I'd like permission to make a motion to include those two lots on Russell Avenue that are city property to be included under the jurisdiction of the Parks Department's decision whether or not to allow alcohol on those two properties.
Okay, well, first I have to think about this. Are you looking to amend this ordinance, or are you looking
This
to?
ordinance to amend it, to incorporate those two pieces of property, to make them under the jurisdiction of the Parks Department for this decision to whether they can or cannot have alcohol on them.
Mr. City Attorney? So, the question I have is I have the sense that this bill may not be the appropriate place to dedicate it property to the parks.
I'm dedicating only the authority for the Parks Department to make that decision on those two pieces of property, because it is their ball teams that are moving over that.
Yeah, I just don't-
Otherwise, you have two city pieces of property that the city administrator is probably the right person that allows alcohol to it, and this bill isn't giving her that authority.
I understand. I'm just wondering if, I guess maybe our city attorney could comment on the best place in the, I don't know that this is the best place to do that, Alderman Leahy, I'm just not sure. So, I have no problem with it, I just,
I have one more question.
A hush.
when City Attorney O'Keefe speaks, people listen.
They don't need any more hot air, I guess. Since we're addressing the question of consumption of alcohol, not a city administrative way with which it deals with its property, this would seem to be an appropriate place.
Okay.
And if we want to start cataloging where, okay, here, not there, which I understand, then we probably ought to do that more comprehensively. So if indeed you want to exclude some city park or recreational facility territories from the permission that's here, we probably ought to articulate that.
Well, actually, the motion is to include.
Yeah, I understand, but if we're going to, it sort of cuts both ways.
Okay, I see.
And if we want to be more precise, with Alderman Leahy's concern that the status of that property may not lend itself to coming under the umbrella of this ordinance, we can certainly include them. And likewise, if we have parks where we want to continue to exclude the potential for the use of alcohol, we ought to articulate that as well. So maybe we ought to.
So, let me propose a course of action to the board. I would guess I would entertain a motion then to postpone action on this ordinance until the April 18th meeting, when we could take it up again, or we could send it back to committee for revision And then when the committee reports it back, we could take action at that time.
I can't imagine there's some time crisis with respect.
No, I don't think so.
People just have to
It is
chill
summer
with you.
coming up. I mean, I know that's one of the things that
have
we're
to
trying to
chill-
get done.
Chill for a little longer.
All right, so, Alderman Leahy, if you don't mind.
I will withdraw my motion.
Thank you. Alderman Plufka.
I just wanted to, and isn't Alderman Leahy's concern already covered by the way the language in subsection A says, upon any private property without the permission of the owner or occupant of such property, if the city owns the properties he's discussing, doesn't this language adequately cover the ability to give permission since we're the owner of that property, even though it's not designated as a park?
But it's not private property.
The residents own it.
But does it say?
The permission of the owner,
I see.
I think, modifies private property.
Okay.
Alderman Plufka, is that?
I thought, as I was listening to the conversation, I thought perhaps that this language already contemplated what Alderman Leahy is asking to do, but the city attorney points out that it does not.
Okay, so thank you. Alderman Saunders.
And this goes back to my initial discussion. I don't see in this ordinance where we're actually saying the discretion falls upon the city administrator and/or the the parks superintendent. It actually just gives permission in public parks and at the rec center, and then private property permission is granted, by the owners of the private property. So it really is just opening the gates to Broughton Park. Even though we don't do it now, that doesn't mean somebody can't take a cooler up there and just decide to have a party at one of those parks.
So you mean if we pass this evening, we could take a cooler and go have a tailgate right after the meeting?
Yep, that's right.
And then watch the basketball game?
There you go. We could do that.
All right.
So I would make the motion to send it back to Public Works for a little
I
more.
think that motion is exceedingly well received by the chair.
Is the motion made?
Yes.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that the board postpone action on bill number 6059, return it to the Public Works Committee for further revision and have the committee report it back to the board with their recommendation. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion unanimously passes.
Now,
Alderman Leahy?
since we've had 2 readings on the bill, do we then go to a 3rd reading of an amendment, or do we start out with an amended bill and start the 2 readings?
That'll depend on the scope of the amendments, but I suggest that at some point, it'll probably be necessary to have a first and second reading of the new bill. We'll probably actually just give it a new bill number at that point.
Okay,
We'll let the other one die in committee.
thank you.
Okay, item number 12 on the agenda. I don't believe we have any bills to receive a first and second reading.
That's correct.
Item number 13 on the agenda, resolutions. We have one resolution this evening. It's resolution number 1051, supporting Brentwood's application for a grant sponsored by the Land and Water Conservation Fund. Alderman Kramer, do you have a synopsis of this?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, very good.
I'd be happy to pass it along. It's for Resolution 1051, the 2016 Land and Water Conservation Fund, LWCF grant. And it authorizes the city administrator to apply for the LWCF grant, which is federally funded through the United States Department of the Interior, National Park Service. The program is intended to create and maintain a nationwide legacy of high-quality outdoor recreation areas and facilities. Federal funding available for the LWCF grants is a maximum of $150,000 per project, with a minimum 55% match. This year, our city received a $370,000 grant in aid from the Municipal Parks Grant Commission Round 16 to build a combination pavilion and restroom building. The project also includes the design for a rain garden in the area where the old playground was located. In addition, this project would also address 2 areas staff gets the most complaints about in the park system, which are Oak Tree needs bathrooms, especially with the installation of the new playground. The area where the old playground used to be located floods primarily from water running down the hill. A necessary document for the grant application is a resolution adopted by the Board of Aldermen showing support of the project. The grant application is due April 22nd of this year. Total cost for the project estimated to be $520,000. The grant helps to offset the cost of the city, all contained within the language of Resolution 1051.
All right, thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt resolution.
Motion for the board to adopt resolution 1051.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the board adopt resolution 1051. Is there any discussion on the resolution? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Resolution is adopted. Item number 14 on the agenda, accounts against the city. Alderman Slusser.
I have reviewed the warrant list with the city administrator and recommend its approval in the amount of $23,603.48.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the board approve the warrant list as submitted. Are there any, is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Kramer?
Yes.
Alderman Leahy?
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller?
Yes.
Alderman Manister?
Yes.
Alderman Cluster?
Yes.
Alderwoman Saunders?
Yes.
Alderman Slusser?
Yes.
Alderman Toots?
Yes.
Very good. Reports of committees and department heads. Mayor's report. The only thing I have to report this evening is the installation of the dividers on Brentwood Boulevard right in front of Starbucks. If you haven't been up there this afternoon, they were put in, I believe, this morning.
Yes, that is correct.
And I believe BOLA is going to make a report on something. Was it National Challenge for Water Conservation?
I am happy to do so.
Very good.
So this month, Mayor Thornton, along with other mayors throughout the country, are encouraging our residents to accept the challenge to conserve water while at the same time saving energy. To do so during this month of National Earth Month, you may go to a website with the address mywaterpledge.com and make a simple, easy-to-do pledge throughout this month. We will be issuing a press release to that effect.
Thank you.
I'm done.
Thank you, Madam City Administrator. I apologize. That's all for my report. Public Safety Committee.
No report.
Public Works Committee.
We will be discussing the parks alcohol policy at the next meeting.
Well, we're glad we could give you something to do.
All right, other than that, there's nothing on.
Director of Planning and Development.
Planning and zoning will be on the 13th. Next week, we've got a full agenda. Two small subdivisions, a site plan for the self-storage lot, and we will continue review of the Metro on Manchester.
So is the Metro on Manchester going to be on the 13th?
They have made some revisions to the site plan, so the petitioner is, and their team is busy updating those exhibits.
Okay, very good. Ways and Means Committee, Alderman Slusser.
No report.
Mr. City Attorney.
No report, sir.
Madam City Administrator.
No report.
Madam Excise Commissioner.
Yeah, I have something. There are 3 applications this evening for temporary liquor licenses. All 3 applications are for Immerse by Atlas, which is located at 836 Hanley Industrial Court. They will be hosting 3 separate client parties and will be serving beer, wine, and spirits. Those party dates are April 21st from 5 to 9 p.m., May 4th from 6 to 11 p.m., and May 7th from 6 to midnight.
I would entertain a motion to approve those requests for temporary liquor license.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the board approve the request for temporary liquor licenses pursuant to the Excise Commissioner's report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Those temporary liquor licenses will be granted. Madam Library Correspondent, do we have any report?
The next library board meeting is tomorrow night, April 5th at 6:30. That's it. Thank you.
On the Municipal League, I will just reiterate, come early and often for the next meeting. Former Mayor Kelly will be here, and he will be giving us a report on the tax battle that is raging in West County and throughout, from West County all the way to Jefferson City. So he will be here to give us a brief update on that, and so come and get a good seat. Historical Society, Chief? All right. Do we have any announcements? Alderman Leahy.
Thank you, Your Honor. The next Ward 3 meeting for the month of April will be Tuesday night, the 26th of April at 7 p.m. up here in the council room. All are invited. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any further announcements? Okay, Alderman Lockmiller.
I have a question. Is the MSD going to do a presentation at our ward meeting? Did I see that
Yes,
on the
that's
schedule?
scheduled, right.
Yeah, so
Dan will be doing a similar presentation to what he did tonight.
Good.
we'll get some notifications out so that we have good attendance.
And I'm sorry, Andy, what was the date of that next meeting?
April the 26th at 7 p.m.
Wednesday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, April the 26th at 7 p.m. Ward 3 meeting, and there will be a presentation by the folks from MSD and a representative from the contractor present to talk about how exactly that project will be progressing. So for the residents of Ward 3 or anybody who's interested in what they're going to be doing to Russell, show up.
Thank you.
I have one other announcement. You have an opportunity tomorrow to exercise one of your most precious constitutional rights. That's the right to vote. There have been a good many people who have fought and died for that right, and I maintain that failure to exercise it is one of the worst things you can do and one of the most disrespectful things you can do to their memory. It honors your country. It honors the people that are in this room. Get out and vote. It's a lot of fun, too. New business. No new business to come before the board. Hearing of any matter of public interest upon the request of any person present. Anybody who wishes to address the board, come forward and you'll be given 3 minutes. Anyone? Anyone? Fair enough. We are not having a closed meeting tonight. The chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn this meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.